Hey, what's going on, guys? Glastrier, and today in this video we are going to be talking about the 5 best Pokemon to beat the new Pokemon introduced in the Pokemon Crown Tundra DLC, and that is this Pokemon. So the top 5 Pokemon to beat Glastrier. And now the reason why I'm making this video is because I played a bit of 2021, and I actually entered just a small little tournament. I got top 8, there's 25 players, but what I noticed is this Pokemon fricks teams up. This Pokemon absolutely screws over so many teams, and it's number 6 right now in usage stats, and it's going to go up because this Pokemon hits so hard. You look at its stats, bam, 100 HP, 145 attack, which is absolutely insane, 130 defense, 110 special defense, and 30 speed. Is literally the best Triggimon known to man. You run this with Dusclops, Brick Break, and you're KOing every single Pokemon in existence. And here's the thing, this thing gets covered to like close combat and high horsepower, so you think your Heatrans are safe? No. You think your Tyrannitars are safe? No. This Pokemon is going to be absolutely insane. So I'm going to give you guys 5 Pokemon that can beat Glastrier, because Glastrier is going to be just incredibly good in this format. But before we get into it, I would like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It really helps me out because you know what, this is going to be some good content, because I'm telling you, this mon's going to be busted. Another thing I'd like to announce is I actually just got an email from Pokemon talking about how I qualify for the Players Cup 2, so that's gonna be pretty cool. I'm not gonna be making any videos about team building and whatnot because it's private. I mean, I know it's like open team sheets, but I still want to keep those videos private, but just wanted to let you guys know. But anyways, let's get into the video. So I don't really have this list in any particular order. I just wrote it down on a piece of paper. But we're going to be going over 5 Pokemon that can beat Glastrier. And just remember, this thing's ability basically raises it's a beast boost. It raises this attack by 1 when it KOs a Pokemon. Considering you can break this Pokemon with like a Dusclops, get to +2 of a base 145 attack stat under Trick Room, and you're basically, a lot of the Trick Roomons like Amoonguss, they're dead. And then it can increase its attack further, so this thing can steamroll, and I've seen it steamroll. So I'm going to giving you guys some of the best Pokemon to be able to deal with this. So at number 5, I actually we're going to look at a Pokemon that's actually really popular right now. It's actually number 4th in the rankings, not that far behind, not that far from Landorus. Now this is Metagross, and one thing to note about Metagross is it has a good HP stat and it has a high defense stat, and especially because Glastrier is going to be physical, having a naturally high defense stat is going to be crucial in order to eat up, you know, those max Knuckles, those max Quakes. And here's another thing, this thing gets clear body, so it can't be intimidated. And a lot of Metagross, if you go here, the most common Metagross set, I think it's probably going to be cropped in the video, but the most common item for Metagross, okay, it's Assault Vest and then Choice Band, but Weakness Policy is also very common on Metagross, and this is what you would run if you're trying to specifically deal with Glastrier. So, and the reason why you want to pop a Weakness Policy on is because Metagross, you in front of a Glastrier, you want to Dynamax this, because if you Dynamax, you're going to be able to live its max Quake, even at, I'm pretty sure, yeah, because of your high defense stat. I'm not going to do any really calcs in this video because I want this to be a shorter video, but you have a high defense stat, so you're going to be able to soak up that max Quake, activate your Weakness Policy, hit him with a +2 max Steel Spike. And now that might not be enough to KO, but that's at least doing, I'd say 80%. And actually, I am going to calc this here. Let's say you are, it's not you Choice Band, but let's say you are Weakness Policy, and let's say you are +2 attack, and you Dynamax here, and you're gonna go for the max Steel Spike. The max Steel Spike is going to be doing a lot. It actually has a chance to KO, and with Brick Break damage, you are probably gonna KO. Now this is Adamant 252, and you will, and let's say this thing goes for a high horsepower. Alright, so high horsepower is going to be doing a lot of damage. In max Quake, it's going to be doing, honestly, not that much to Metagross, but at +2 with an Adamant and 252 HP, Actually, it might be able to KO some of the time, so you can invest a bit in defense. So you're going to be able to live Glastier's hit and be able to pretty much threaten with a one-hit KO back. So I think Metagross honestly has a place in this meta, a place in order to beat Glastrier. Also, Metagross is just really solid elsewise. I'm not going to go into details of how good Metagross is, because if you want to, I mean, I'll go over another video, maybe like the viability rankings here. But Metagross is a great counter to Glastrier. Alright, so that was number 5. Now, remember, these are in no particular order. Number 4, I'm going to actually mention Celesteela. Now, Celesteela is a very, very bulky Pokemon, and we normally think of it as a Leech Seed, Protect, maybe a Wide Guard user, but honestly, to deal with Glastrier, you are going to be neutral to its stab, right? You are going to be neutral to its stab, so already, you know, it might not be the best counter, but it can halt Glastier's progress, especially because when you look at its stats, 90, if you invest heavily into defense, like let's say you go, I mean, let's say maybe you want to go like a special Celesteela, let's say you go like a bold 252 nature, a bold 252, you're 170 defense, you max Celesteela, that's a lot of bulk. And so, you know, with a lot of max mons, you're probably going to be dropping to like one Glastrier attack, right? But Celesteela, it can take a couple Glastrier attacks, and it's not going to be dealing significant damage to Glastrier, but it can stop and it can halt Glastrier's progress in order to steamroll, essentially. I mean, it's not going to be anything with the craziest moves ever, but considering Glastrier has actually a higher base defense, honestly, with Celesteela, you could run a special Celesteela and opt for running a Flash Cannon and a Flamethrower, so you can run a Flamethrower to catch those Kartanas. So honestly, I'd say a really good set here is to run Flash Cannon, and it's to run Flamethrower, and then I don't know what other special move you want. Maybe you still want to run Leech Seed, because I don't know what other moves this thing gets. I mean, it gets Air Slash as well, so you can run Air Slash, you could run Leech Seed, it really depends on you, but I run like maybe 3 attacks and then Protect, right? So just so it's not useless outside of Trick Room, right? So you can at least increase your speed there. But this thing's going to be able to wall Glastrier, and it's going to be able to hit back pretty hard. I mean, considering base 107, if you invest a little bit into that, that's gonna chunk it, and you're gonna be raising your defense as well. So pair it with an Intimidate mon, let's say maybe like Pokemon like Incineroar, that you can recycle those Intimidates and be able to start stacking up those defense boosts. It's actually going to mitigate a lot of the damage that I have a lot of trouble saying this name, Glastrier can do. So I honestly say Celesteela is going to be another great pick in order to beat Glastrier. Now, the reason why, like I said, the reason why I'm doing this video is I was looking at the Pokemon that beat this Pokemon, that beat Glastrier, and it's very limited. This mon is going to be insane. This mon is going to be a top 3 usage mon, just 100%. You wait, it will be. I'll bet my Pokemon career it will be top 3. Okay, top 4. It will be top 4. It'll be top 4. All right. So Celesteela is another really good pick. All right. So we're gonna move on to actually number 3 here, and number 3 is going to be it's gonna be Torkoal. Now, actually, Torkoal is honestly really good against Glastrier. Why? Because Glastrier, if you see a Glastrier, it's normally going to be Trick Room, right? And so Glastrier has that base 30 speed, making it an ideal Trick Room mon. But Torkoal has actually a lower base speed, which means it's going to be outspeeding under Trick Room. So you can get an attack off first. And now, while Torkoal, you know, you're probably not going to be maxing Torkoal against the Glastrier, you know, because I would honestly opt for, if you want to take care of Glastrier, I would honestly opt for a Choice Specs variant, so you can just deal as much damage with like an Eruption as possible. Obviously, with Drought, you probably won't be able to take a max Quake from a Glastrier, excuse me, especially if it's +2. But I think at neutral, if Glastrier is just neutral, you should be able to take a max Quake if you invest into defense, and honestly, you probably should be able to take it regardless. But if you look at Torkoal and look at UU support, and we just go modest 252, we're just gonna go like this, and then we're just gonna put the rest in defense. If you look at how much this does, and we're not going to be max here, we're going to be Eruption. If you look at how much this is going to do, single target in, okay, so double, excuse me, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Double target in the sun is going to deal 59 to 61%, and you are actually going to drop to this thing's max quake, but that's at +2. So think about it. At neutral, you're not dropping to a max quake, which means you can get in 2 attacks here. So you can get in your eruption, which is gonna be hitting for if this thing is max, and if it's max HP, it's going to be hitting for around 60%. That's double target. So a single target, it's going to be hitting for around like 75%, right? And so here's the thing. You want a little bit of chip on Glastrier before it Dynamaxes, because a lot of these moves aren't going to be able to pick up the KO, but with a bit of chip, it negates that sort of effectiveness of the Dynamax. So definitely chip it before it Dynamaxes, because 59 to 61% is good. And Max Quake, yes, they get the special defense boost, but then you can hit them with like a Heat Wave next turn, you know what I mean? And maybe be able to pick up the KO, or just shy of it so you can use a priority move later on. That's going to be how you want to deal with Glastrier. And another really good thing to note is that Glastrier, you can't proc its policy with Bulldoze. So Torkoal is always going to underspeed this thing in Trick Room, pretty much always, unless you go for a max airstream on your when Torkoal is your partner. So Torkoal is going to be able to hit first, and is going to be able to hit extremely. Oh wait, that wasn't even choice specs. Look at this, guys. Oh, my bad. That wasn't even choice specs. It does around 85% to Glastrier in doubles. So you get a bit of chip on this thing, it's gone. You're really neutering or negating this thing's ability to do well. So choice specs, you're going to be hitting for incredible amounts of damage, and you're going to be able to live on max quake if you invest fully in defense. And even if you don't invest in defense at all, it's still a roll. And then if you put it in HP, it's still a roll. It's not even a roll at that point. So honestly, that is the way to go. All right, so that is number 3 on this list. Number 2, we are going to go to Gigalith. Now, if you look at Gigalith's stats, you realize it gets the ability Sandstream. Sandstream allows it to summon the Sandstorm. That doesn't really matter for here, but that could also enable you to run maybe like a Trick Room Sand team. So you could run like a Gigalith, partner with an Excadrill, and partner with a Dusclops. So you can have that Trick Room option. You can also have that really speedy option as well. And also Sun is going to be prevalent. So being able to negate Sun and actually have pretty good bulk with Gigalith as well is always handy. And Gigalith is an amazing weakness policy mod. And you know what Glastrier loves to do? It loves to spam those max quakes and those max knuckles and maybe even those max steel spikes. But against the Gigalith, you're going to be proccing that weakness policy, which this thing has such great attack, base 135 attack. And if you proc a weakness policy, Gigalith is going to be hitting Glastrier so incredibly hard. Now, one important thing to note is that actually Gigalith underspeeds Glastrier. So, you're not going to get your weakness policy procced first, but you are going to be able to hit first. That's important to know. And this thing hits incredibly hard, right? So you could even tech an Iron Head if you really want. You can tech an Iron Head to be able to soak up the damage better at first. So go for that max steel spike first, then get your policy procced, and then hit him with a max rockfall next turn. But Gigalith, if we go to the calculator here, Gigalith is going to be an absolutely incredibly good mon here. And so, I think we're just going to rock out with this sort of nature. Obviously, this kind of is like the standard here. We're just going to go +2 here. And we're looking at this. And look at the amount of damage Max Rockfall does at +2. You have a 68.8, you have a 69% chance to KO. Plus the Brick Break chip, plus the Sand chip. You are pretty much going to be able to KO. You're going to be able to KO, right? So that's incredibly good. So Gigalith can one-shot Glastrier. And look at Glastrier. Look at what this mon does. Its best move to hit you is going to be that max steel spike maybe, right? So let's go for an Iron Head, right? All right, so it's Iron Head. Let's say it's +2, right? Okay, it's doing at the most 84% to you, proccing your policy, and then you hit it back and you KO it. Now, if it gets that defense boost, don't worry, right? If it's defense boost, you're still doing 74% to it plus chip, you know what I mean? And not a lot of Glastrier run those steel moves. Okay, I have a bunch of ads here because, of course, but yeah, you can see Heavy Slam is actually its 5th most used. And 5th most used move, and actually they're running Icicle Crash. They're running Ice plus Ground plus Fighting moves most often. So Gigalith is going to be able to excel in that because most of the time they're not going to be running Iron Head, so they won't get that defense boost. So you will actually be able to just OHKO them there. So Gigalith is an especially good mon here. But now we're going to look at the final Pokemon I want to talk in today's video, and that is a Pokemon that has seen some use, but is it's not relatively used much. And we can actually check here on the usage rates right here. Escavalier. It has a 0.5% usage rate. Not a lot, but if you look at Escavalier's typing and its stats, it has 105 defense. So 105 defense, I mean, yes, it has 78 base HP, which isn't great, but 105 defense is actually pretty good natural bulk there, and you're probably going to want to invest in HP. So if you go like if you go max here on attack, I mean, we're just going to make these EV spread standard. You're going to maximize your damage output, and you're going to actually be able to take hits pretty well because it has a solid natural defense stat. And here's the thing, I think Bug is Ice hits neutral against Bug. So think about this: it's stab, Ice, you resist. So you resist its stab, which is absolutely incredible, and you hit it for super effective. Because here's the thing, a lot of Pokemon hit Glastrier are super effective, but Glastrier dumpsters it with its support moves like high horsepower and close combat. Those max moves can absolutely just OHKO. Like Stack Attack, in theory, is good against Glastrier since it's an ice type and Stack Attack is a rock steel. But Glastrier gets high horsepower, and so Stack Attack, it's donezo, you know what I mean? Yeah, it gets like one move off, but because Glastrier is so freaking bulky, it doesn't even matter, you know what I mean? Alright, but Escavalier has a great natural typing, is literally only going to be really damaged by something like a Max Quake and a Max Knuckle. And honestly, at that point, here's the thing, at that point, those are not stab. So even at like a +2, it's not going to be doing too much. And then you're not going to be putting a weakness policy on this Pokemon here. Yeah, you're not going to be putting a weakness policy on this Pokemon here. It's just not going to be the best item. I personally use something like a Life Orb just to maximize your damage output. But you can see here that Max Quake at +2 with an added nature full attack is only doing 54 to 64%, and actually we have a bit in speed. So you're gonna invest maybe fully in HP, maybe invest in some defense there. But that's doing, let's say you invest in some defense, that has a 74% chance to 2-hit KO. But let's say you do like 140 and then like 112 defense. So you're making it so it has almost half chance to KO, and you're hitting this thing, and you're hitting Glastrier for a max steel spike that's going to be doing 60 to 72%. Now, also another good thing to note is that Escavalier underspeeds. It underspeeds Glastrier. So immediately, you're giving yourself +1 defense, which means instead of +2, this thing's hitting for pretty much +1. Max Quake's only doing 40% at +1 off a base 145 attack stat. So Escavalier is going to be insanely good, and out underspeeding and getting those steel spikes off and having that really good natural typing that can be able to withstand a lot of Glastier's attacks. It's just going to be incredibly good, and honestly, I can see Escavalier being a niche pick. I myself probably won't use it. I think I'm going to use Torkoal because I might use the Sun team, but Escavalier definitely can hold its own against Glastrier, and honestly, I think itself and Gigalith, I feel like, are the most well-equipped to handle Glastrier. I'd say the weakest ones would be Celesteela, and now Torkoal I'd say is still really good. Specifically because you don't want, like, against a Glastrier, you don't want to max it, because if you're running specs, you're going to deal more damage outside of Dynamax than you would inside of Dynamax, right? But the other three mons, Metagross, Gigalith, and Escavalier, in order to do well against Glastrier, you are going to have to Dynamax them. So, you know, there are some like other options. Like if you really don't want to Dynamax against this, you can run Torkoal and just have Torkoal be a non-Dynamax counter. So I give you guys a lot of options in order to beat the Glastrier, because we all know this mon is going to be incredibly good. We all know it's going to be incredibly good. Oh, we all know. Glastrier is going to be incredibly good. You look at the stats, you look at its ability. So being able to slow down its potential steamroll and actually being able to hit it super hard with super effective attacks, And now, you know, some could say, oh, well, your pocket's weakness policy. Well, a lot of the Glastrier that run weakness policy are running dust comps with brick break beside it. So their policy is pretty much already going to be procced. You know what I mean? If it's not going to be procced immediately, it'll be procced within maybe the end of the turn. You know what I mean? So there's really no point to trying to hit it for neutral, because this thing's so bulky. If you try to hit for neutral, it's just not going to be enough. So you need to hit for those super effective hard hits, because this Pokemon will change the meta. I'm calling it. Pokemon keeps introducing the most broken Pokemon. Urshifu, stupid. It was busted. I hate that Pokemon. Yes, I used it, but it's just so good. Literally, the only counter to it was Togekiss, right? Defensive Kiss. That was it, really. And now they introduced Glastrier, and these are the Pokemon you're going to be running. So just to give a recap, because I don't want this video to be longer than like 21 minutes, here are the 5 Pokemon that are going to be really good against Glastrier that I'm calling. It's going to be Metagross, Celesteela, Torkoal, Gigalith, and Escavalier. Going into Series 7, we know Glastrier is going to be extremely good. I mean, just look at this usage, look at its usage stat, 16%, and that was, I think, 15% this morning. So it's definitely on the rise. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, smash the like button down below, and please subscribe for more future content, because you already know this month's going to be busted, and we're going to be doing more Pokemon content for you guys. And I hope you learned something in this video, just because you're going to need to prepare for this. But anyways, guys, I'm Gigalith. I'll see y'all later. Peace.